Alright, welcome to another track countdown behind the scenes video. So in the last one, we went through tracks number 50 through 41. This one we're going to be going through 40 through 31. So covering the next set of tracks in this behind the scenes. I was going to make this particular video a little bit later on in the list. That's what I originally planned on doing, but I just felt inspired to do it now, so I figured might as well go ahead and do it now if I feel inspired to make it. It'll probably end up better that way anyways. Better just to take advantage of that inspiration. So doing it now. But yeah, I was just looking through some of the docs, getting ready to make the next episode for the track countdown, and I went through some of the bottom tracks, and I was like, you know what? Why don't I go ahead and make that video now? That's basically what happened. So here we are. So again, last behind the scenes went through 50 to 41. This one we're going through 40 to 31, and it's going to start off with, as you can see here in the background, Angell Park Speedway. Angell Park Speedway. This track was a pretty good one in the first oval season. It's not the craziest track, but the race and most of the races on here in general, and there actually were quite a few races on here. Like let me check real quick. I believe might have actually been 3 races that we did on here, which is more than I thought. Yeah, we did 3 races on here. So Oval Season 2, which was technically Season 8, did a race then. That was the debut. Then Season 9 brought it back, and then it ended up popping up in the... I like the victory lane for this one. With the victory lane for this one is very historically accurate. This is based off a real life track, so I'm a big fan of the victory lane in this one. That's my favorite. That's my personal favorite detail that probably most other people won't care about, but I really like that. So yeah, 3 races here: Season 8, Season 9, and the Elimination Tournament 2. We're going to be taking a glance at the first race. We're going to be taking a glance at the first race, and this one was pretty good. I remember there being a really big battle. I want to say it was between Camby, Fireball, and I. That was a pretty sick crash pretty early on. But yeah, I remember this race being memorable specifically for that, but I believe there were, lots of other battles too. There's a reason why this track was on the list to begin with, even though it didn't make it to the top 25. There's a reason why it was on the list at all, right? I think a lot of people recognize this track as just having really good battles, even though it's a more simple oval. I mean, this one's kind of designed for to be a battle track, right? Gaining time on this track on your own can be pretty difficult, but when you're racing next to people, it's really hard to get away from people, and it almost, for being a short track, it almost ends up feeling like a super speedway in that sense, kind of oddly enough, because even when you get ahead of people, it seems to be really difficult on this track to get away from them, kind of like a super speedway track would work, like in real life, at least previous years, from what I've seen. So it's just weird that this is a short track, and that's kind of what I have to compare it to, but it's kind of how it runs. It's kind of how it runs, and you're seeing in these laps here, finally people are starting to separate, but even then they're not gaining like too much time, and a lot of the battles are still going. Like we still have many two-way battles here, so, and that's kind of just how this track went. But yeah, I think that's what this track really gets remembered for, was the just being a battle track, and being a good oval for doing crossovers and stuff like that. Doing crossovers, getting crazy 3-wide, 4-wide battles, and being able to keep them going pretty consistently. But yeah, I want to skip towards the end here. I want to see if we get this finish, because I think I want to say this race had a pretty crazy finish, but I could be wrong. Also, this is one of the few tracks where I made this entire wow, nice load. There we go. Where I made this entire track myself, and usually I have someone helping me out. A lot of the times towards the end of his armada, but at different times, someone helping me out with Rip Hunter there, by the way, with the aesthetics. This one, I'm pretty sure I did the entirety of the aesthetics on this one myself. Pretty sure. So this was a bit of a passion project, and it may not look like it, but I swear the budget was like actually filled on this track. Like it really doesn't look like it, but I swear it was. I put a lot of the objects into little details that ended up filling out the budget a lot quicker than I expected. But yeah, if again, this is a real life remake, if you know the real life track, that's what makes me personally pretty proud of this one, is at least aesthetically, it looks pretty similar to it. And I think that's pretty cool. And I think even if you aren't familiar with it and you don't know that it's inspired from a real life track, you could still get the vibe of that from going on here, just because of like the unique details, like how these grandstands look. I don't think there's a track with grandstands that look like this. And like I said, the victory lane was very unique. I think there's like a ticket booth or something somewhere. I think I put like a ticket booth somewhere. But yeah, I think you could get the idea of it. I think Cammy ended up winning this one. But yeah, crazy 3-wide battle right there. But yeah, there's a lot of good battles in this one. Fun track to race on, good battle track. But let's move on to the next one. I don't think I have much else to say for Angell Park Speedway. All right, so next one. This one's a pretty good one, actually. So we're going to take a look at St. Louis SX. Oh, I forgot to go through the points. So real quick, I was going to do this too. So real quick, there's actually, I don't know if I mentioned this in the last behind the scenes, but in case I didn't, here we go. It was actually a tie, like a pretty big tie. So yeah, 43, 42, 41, and 40, which was Angell Park, all tied at 19 points. So that's just a crazy tie, little tiebreaker there. Put Angell Park Speedway in 40th. So now we go to 39, which does not have a tie, although it was pretty close to having one. St. Louis SX, and this one mostly made it as high as it did on the list because one person voted pretty highly for it. One person in particular gave it 14 points, which means it was pretty high on their list, not in the top 10, but like just missing out on it. So pretty high on their list. 14 points is a lot. But we had, I think, four different people put it in their list, but most of them were towards the bottom, but one person put it pretty high up, and that put it in the top 40. So yeah, St. Louis SX, let's take a look at it. Got the throwback video here from the first time it was raced. But yeah, this one's a classic, and I'm actually going to do something a little bit different for this one. We're going to take a look at a few laps of the original here. And I want to show the remake, or I should say, like, remake is putting it a little too far. Remix version of it would be better. But yeah, I want to show that version as well, because I'm actually really proud of that version. And we only got to race the remix version of St. Louis once, which is really unfortunate because I really like the remix version. Like, if we raced that version of the track more, I wouldn't be surprised if this track made it higher up on the list. I think it would have if we would have raced that version more, because I want to say I talked about it in another video at some point. I don't know if it was last behind the scenes video. I don't know why I would have been talking ahead about St. Louis. Maybe it was on one of my streams. I don't know. I swear I was talking about this recently somewhere about how that St. Louis track is like one of my favorite personal favorite, and I think like one of my best remix tracks, because I've done that a lot where I'll go back to an old track that, you know, hasn't really been raced recently or whatever of mine, and I'll make like a remix version of it, revisit it, try to breathe some new life into it. Like, that's something I do or did pretty frequently. But I think St. Louis was like the best example of me doing that. Like, I think that one worked out the best. That being said, the original wasn't too bad for its time. Is this like the greatest Supercross of like season 3? No, I wouldn't say so. Actually, I don't know. Maybe it is. Season 3 was a while ago. Maybe this track was actually elite back in the day. Maybe I'm just not remembering it. Maybe I said that a little too quickly. I don't know. But you know, is this like, does this original version stand the test of time? It could probably still be fun to run laps on, but it's not anything too crazy nowadays. But at the time, it was actually a pretty solid track and worked pretty well for the championship series. So yeah, I had a lot of fun on this one. Now, let's take a look at... Oh, I guess I keep playing it. Let's take a look at the remix version, which, again, I really like this one. All right, there we go. So yeah, here's a look at the remix version. So, and I was skipped ahead a little bit in this one, so we can go back to the start. There we go. So you just saw footage of St. Louis, the St. Louis of old. Now you get to watch footage of the new St. Louis, and you can see already, you can tell some of the changes. It's not just with the track, some of its aesthetic changes too. which isn't entirely because I wanted to change the look of the track. I think object count started to become an issue, so I started to take away some of the rocks and stuff decorating the exterior of the track, stuff like that, to get some objects for the track itself, and to fully realize this remix idea I had that I wanted to make. And basically we just added some extra sections. We got this winding sand section in the middle here, which I like. It looks and I think functions like a unique sand section that we don't really see on too many Halo tracks with the ruts in it and stuff. I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's something that, you know, if object count wasn't a problem, I think you'd see stuff like that on a track like Dusty Ridge or Roman's, not Gridiron, but the big motocross that he made that I can't think of the name of, that looks like Gridiron, but it's not. I can't think of it right now, but that sand section kind of looks like something that I think you would see on tracks like that. That just never really got to make it to tracks like that because those types of tracks, just object count always ended up becoming an issue, especially when you're making like a big nationals. It's really hard to fit in those details. But with this track, had just enough to be able to fit it in, and I thought it was pretty cool. I like that different type of sand section. And if I speed ahead here, because I want to talk about the other additions too. So after the sand section, there's this huge, so you can either roll that or you can just jump into those whoops, and I really like that section. That one's like really simple choice for the drivers, and it's pretty fun too. Pretty fun to rip through the whoops, or it's pretty fun to jump into them. I like it either way. There's the skill section after it, which is pretty tricky, and then it flows back into the original track. So all it is like 3 new sections, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all the remix version is maybe I made some of the old jumps a little, smoothened them out a little bit. I don't know, maybe some minor changes like that. But for the most part, it's pretty much just it's just 3 new sections to, you know, make the track more fun, and maybe add some skill to it too. That last skill section is pretty tough. I think that that part where you can roll or jump into it also takes some skill as well. The sand section, maybe not so much, but is still pretty fun, and, you know, nice to have a sand section on the track and have that change of pace. So yeah, I ended up really liking this remake. I wish we got to race it more. All right, so let's move on to, and yeah, it ended up with 25 points. Ended up with 25 points. Let's move on to in 39th. So we're gonna go to 38 now, and I can delete these. We're gonna go to 38 now. And I picked out this race in particular because I really like it. This race is really good. This is probably one of my favorite. I could do an HRL history episode on this race alone. This is probably one of my favorite HRL races, and just like early season memories in general is this race. I'm a big fan of this race. This was really fun. So real quick before we fully move on to it, we're gonna be watching it a little bit in the background. So yeah, Angell Park Speedway, we raced 3 times, and I believe St. Louis, the little facts that I'm bringing up throughout the video here, I believe we raced St. Louis, yeah, 3 times as well. So also raced 3 times, but for St. Louis it was season 3, 4, and the Blast from the Past tournament. So now we go on to Chili Cove, which is what we've been looking at here. Chili Cove ended up in 38th, and the reason it got to 38th realistically is because only 2 people voted for it. Only 2 people voted for it. You know who you are. You know who you are. One person. Funnily enough, it was actually the first 2 people that responded to the forum that voted for it. Nobody else after that. But the first 2 people that happened to vote put this in their list. The first person put it 24th. The next person put it 2nd. So polar opposites on their scales for the 2 people that put it in their list. But yeah, the first person put it 24th, the second person put it 2nd, which is hilarious to me. But yeah, so basically the second person to vote that put it in 2nd really gassed the hell out of this track and put it in 38th. Damn near by themselves, with some help from the first voter as well. But yeah, 26 points. But yeah, Chili Cove, let's talk about it. So this, again, am I the biggest fan of this version of Chili, of the Chili track? No. I like it more than the first version that I made on Halo 5. I don't like it as much as Chili Cup. Chili Cup is for sure my favorite in Halo 5. that being said, this track is very unique. Like, the banking is insane on here. Even the aesthetics are kind of like unique. How it's just entirely in the dome. Like, the lighting is pretty cool with those cars on the inside and the ammo stuff. Like, the lighting on here is pretty cool. I love the trucks too. Like, the little details too. How it almost looks like an actual dirt track, like a local dirt track with the trucks bringing in the cars and stuff like that. So not only is the lighting from the trucks cool, but just like that feel, getting that local track feel from it is also pretty cool to me. But yeah, it's just super high banking, the lighting, unique aesthetics on here, and unique racing too. This track just races very differently than any other oval, and it's hard to explain. But if you've driven on it, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about for sure. And I'm sure if any of the racers want to confirm in the comments, I guarantee you, if you've raced on this, you know what I'm talking about. Even though it's really hard to explain, like, this track just races very differently than any other oval that we've had, and it probably because of the super high banking, and I want to say there's grab volumes on the inside on here even as well. So that just like weird combination of super high banking but also having the grab volumes just makes this track incredibly unique in the way that it races. And it was a lot of fun. So what we did, I don't think we did this again at any point in Halo 5 for Chile, I want to say. But the original thing that we used to do back in the day for Halo 4 when we raced the Chile races is we did 4 motos. That's what we did. It was like the big event, right? It was like a big event in the middle of the season that, you know, it wasn't the championship, it wasn't like the grand final, but it was almost kind of like a mini grand final in the middle of the season. It would be like a Daytona for NASCAR equivalent, right? You know, you're not winning the championship, but if you win that event, you're pretty happy. Like, it's pretty cool, pretty prestigious thing to win. So that was kind of what we did, and that's what we did here for season 3. We brought that back. We did the 4 motos. We did the 4 motos this night, which was crazy, and those motos were actually a lot of fun. And just, again, I could do an HRL history episode on this race alone. I could probably do one on just the whole Chile night from season 3 with the 4 motos and then going into this. And you're probably thinking right now, like, wait, you did the 4 motos and this all-star race all in the same night? Yeah, apparently we did. I don't think that was the plan. Actually, I'm pretty sure that wasn't the plan, but yeah, for whatever reason, I don't know. I think everybody was still able to race, and we actually, rare occurrence, I think everybody for the most part had a pretty decent time with the 4 motos. So one of us probably brought up the idea, is like, well, why not just do the All-Star now? And I think everybody was just like, you know what? Sure, just do the All-Star now. We already raced 4 motos anyways. We're warmed up. Might as well do it now. So that's what we did. And then we did this All-Star race. So already had the 4 moto absolute grueler, right? Already had the 4 moto endurance event. And then to cap it all off, we do this all-star elimination race, which is something that I don't even know if we've even done. Maybe one. I want to say maybe we did one after this, but other than that, this is a pretty unique occurrence, this elimination race. So the way we did it, I want to say, is, we started the race, and then every minute we would knock off the driver in last place. So yeah, start the race, and then a minute goes down, driver in last eliminated. Minute goes down, driver in last eliminated. Minute goes down, driver in last eliminated. And I want to say no cautions. I don't exactly remember. I want to say no cautions as well, which it made for an absolutely crazy race. Like, this race was dope. Not only was the racing throughout it really nice, but also a lot of the drivers were going into the stands or in the infield and watching the race finish out. Not everybody was, some people backed out, but not everybody was backing out. So that was kind of cool too. As like, we never really, we weren't really used to, that sucks for those drivers. That sucks for them. We weren't really used to spectating races for a big event, right? It was usually just for the heats or maybe the semis, you'd have people spectate. We weren't really used to it for these big events. So being able to spectate a big race like this was just something unique for a lot of the drivers. Live that is, because obviously you could watch like the videos afterwards or whatever. That was just like really unique and a pretty cool experience, because there's always like that, I don't know, it's always a little bit different when you have people watching when you're racing and battling it out. And that's not really a feeling that any of us were used to having for a main race like this, but that obviously changed if you made it late race for this particular one because of the format. So I thought that was pretty cool. So let's skip to the end here because I want to show it. And I'm getting to that point. But yeah, it ended up coming down to Turkey and Blades. And they had a pretty good battle. Like, I probably skipped past some of it, not showing the whole thing here, but they actually had a pretty good battle and were luckily still close with each other in 1-2, which I was really glad. It would have sucked if it didn't work out that way. If it was just like, oh, first place is like a million years ahead and they're just gonna take this home, you know, that would have been kind of lame. It's really nice that it worked out where they were actually close with each other to the point where, look at this, side by side, Turkey makes the move on the white flag and even gets into Blades there as well, and just takes it, takes the win. Turkey takes the win. This might be, oh, I love the crash into the stands that they did too. I love that. Actually, I don't want to say might be. This is probably Turkey's last win in HRL as a whole, let alone Halo 5. Like, I'm pretty sure this is his last win. So that was pretty cool for him to take it in like this special event, and the way that he took it. You know, overtaking Blades there in the last lap. It was pretty cool. And yeah, maybe we'll have to do an HRL history for this one day because I'm a big fan of this race. And look at that, 10 bonus points. Wow. And that big bonus point. That was the All-Star race reward. 10 bonus points for first, 6 for second, and 2 for third. Not bad. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. For sure. All right, let's get things rolling. Like Limp Bizkit. That was terrible. All right, so none of this here. So, why is this quality terrible? Wow, can we get a better auto there? Jeez, nice. So, Oval Season 2, Round 4, and I can say that because I'm pretty sure this is the only time we raced this track until recently, actually. Oval Season 2, Round 4, Vengerberg Raceway. This one got number 37. We had 3 people vote for it. 2 people put it pretty highly, 11 points and 12 points, pretty similarly in their lists, and fairly high. And then 1 person 5 points towards the end of their list, ended up totaling at 28, giving Vengerberg Raceway number 37. This track was has been raced twice, actually. Yes, it actually just recently got raced in the most recent elimination tournament that we literally did this month. It got raced for the second time. So that's pretty cool. I didn't think this track would get raced again. But before that, we raced it in Oval Season 2. And this actually ended up being a pretty good race. This track doesn't have we're already like slow. Wait, why are we like at the end? What the hell? Let me skip back to like some racing action here. My bad. I didn't mean to like go right to the. Yeah, this is better. Do around here. But it ends up being it's not the most unique or innovative or craziest track of all time. The way that I look at this one is it's just a I wouldn't even say by the numbers, but it's just a really simple, solid track. Like, if Matt were to make 50 motos, let's do it. What the hell was the commentary there? But if Matt were to make, like, an oval, like, recently, I could see him making a track like this, where it looks real good. I like the aesthetics on this track a lot. So Armada actually helped me with them on this one. He did a really good job. I dig the look of this track a ton. So if Matt would come back and make an oval, I could see it ending up a lot like this track, where it's really simple, nothing too crazy about it, but just made for good racing, good battling. That's the way that I see this track, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, some tracks try to do something crazy, doesn't work out. Some tracks like, let's just make a good track, and that's the way I see this one. But yeah, so and let's skip ahead a little bit here. So what does make this track unique though is in the first corner. We've got no wall, and then in the second corner we've got the wall on the outside. So that's the little detail that makes this track unique compared to a lot of other ovals, I'm sure. But yeah, so we raced this in Oval Season 2. The racing on it ended up being pretty good. I remember, Did we do motos in oval season 2? I'm not looking at it right now. I don't remember if we did 2 motos or if it was just. I'm pretty sure we did. I think we did 2 moto format for oval season 2. And I think Slanch and I ended up having a pretty close battle towards the end of this second moto. God, so much caution, dude. I want to show footage of the track. But yeah, we ended up having a pretty close battle, and it looked like there was some. I mean, we could already see them here. Some close battles throughout the pack. Like the finish of Moto 2, which I'll skip to in a second here, was pretty crazy. But yeah, almost. This track almost reminds me of. It's like it's like Angell Park Speedway, but a little bit tighter and maybe a little more skill to it. Is the way that I would see this track. That's kind of what I see it as. But overall, I really like this track. I think this track is actually pretty underrated. Like I said, I'm glad we got to race it again because I didn't think we would. But I actually thought this track was pretty underrated. Like, this is a really solid oval. Look at this battling here at the end of this Moto 2. Look at that. Look at that mid pack. It's actually insane, that mid pack right there. And I think that was to the finish. Not a bad finish right there. Might have been a green-white checkered. I don't know. Not bad. But yeah, Vengerberg Raceway, not too much to say because it doesn't have as much history as some of the other ones, but a track that we raced later on that I was a fan of. I like this one. Of course, I made it. But I like this one. So now we go to... Brisbane go-kart. Here, let me look at this quick. So yeah, Brisbane only raced it once. It was the kickoff race actually for the go-kart season. One of the few races before the go-kart season unfortunately got canceled for whatever reason. I don't even remember. Genuinely, I don't even remember. But before that, we did get a couple of races in, and one of them was on Brisbane, and myself, and I think a lot of other people too, showing that this track, because this track made it in a decent spot in our list. Not to the final list, but still in the top 50. And we had what, 3 people vote for it. One person gave it 10 points. One person gave it 16. That's pretty high. That's really high actually. And then another person as well gave it a solid 2. So yeah, 3 people voted for it, and 2 of them gave it quite a few points. 28 points total and 36th. So yeah. Like I was saying, I was really glad that we got to race this one, and it looked like some other people were too. I think this is one of those tracks where not just me, but a lot of other people, a lot of other racers look at it in the sense that, like, this track had potential to be a classic. It just got raced too late and only got raced once, right? Shout out to the Sector 701 Battlefield 5 invite, by the way. Didn't I include that in the frickin' Dusty Ridge video or whatever? Or maybe it wasn't Dusty Ridge. No, it's probably Alpine Run. Why did so many of these race videos got a frickin' Sector Battlefield update or invite? That's pretty funny. But yeah, I think the way that I look at this track, I think that this is one of those tracks, and I'm sure if any of the racers or track judges, whatever, want to chime in the comments, I'm sure some of them would agree, considering 3 of them voted for it, or put it in their final list, I should say, that this track had potential to be a classic. Just did not. The fate of some of these bottom tracks, right? The fate of some of these tracks that just barely missed out in the top 25 list was simply just that they weren't raced enough. They weren't raced enough. Like, we only had one race on Brisbane, and it didn't have it had a decent amount of drivers, but it didn't have the highest turnout. I think that this track in the height of competition with a full lobby would have been fucking awesome. Like, seriously, I think this track would have been a hell of a lot of fun to race on with a full lobby in the height of competition. Already, you know what? I might throw this on the... I got to make a list of tracks that I want to remake in Infinite. I might throw this on the list. Already. I just made up my mind right now. I might have to throw this on the list because I'm just envisioning on that game having a 28 player lobby, 28 freaking drivers on this track for a full event would be absolutely bonkers. Like, that would be... Oh, nice smooth sign, by the way. I forgot about that. It'd be absolutely bonkers. Like, that would be sweet. So, yeah, I'm just... yeah, this track just... if this was raced in, like, Season 4 or something like that, I think it'd be looked at more of as a classic. But that being said, still a fun track, still really fun to run laps on. There's a bit of a skill gap to it too. You can gain time in the corners. It's got a Joker as well. Got some fun aesthetics. Just overall solid track. That was really fun to race on, and again, probably on my list for remakes for Infinite. And if I do end up remaking it, hopefully we end up racing it at some point, because this one deserved better, I think. All right, so go on to the next one. Go on to the why is this? Was this video playing in the background? That's not good. This video is playing in the background for an unknown amount of time. That's pretty funny. All right, so Mount Panorama. There might be video of the Mount Panorama Season 10 race where we actually like had a lobby on it. That video might be out there. It might exist. I didn't find it in my very short amount of time that I spent looking for it. It's probably somewhere, but whatever. So instead, we're going to watch a little bit of the 1v1 between me and Detail here for the second elimination tournament finale. So yeah, this track got raced twice, and again, Season 10. But the one that we're watching here was the second time it was raced, which is that elimination tournament. And this, let me skip towards when it gets pretty crazy, but this actually ended up being a pretty good race. Like, for just being a 1v1, this ended up being pretty good. Get out of here. Ended up being pretty good. And definitely memorable for the people that I think spectated it, and for us racing in it as well, because of how well this raced in a 1v1 format, kind of surprisingly. So yeah, Mount Panorama ended up placing in 35th with 28 points again. We had 4 people vote for this one. One person rated it pretty highly with 13 points. That's actually pretty high. Another one not too bad with 9, not too bad with 5, and then one person just threw it at the bottom of their list with that 1 point. Had to mention it in there. So yeah, 4 people voted for it, just not the highest totals. So definitely had a chance of making the final list, but ended up coming up a little bit short. But yeah, I mean, this could totally be something similar to Brisbane, where like this track maybe not too bad, but just wasn't wasn't raced enough. Like this 1v1 race is a very like specific type of race in and of itself, and then we have that Season 10 race, and that's all we got. Maybe if this was raced earlier, it could have ended up being like a Guerco or something like that. But definitely a bit too late to the train there. Also, another factor is this track, for whatever reason, reminds me a lot of one of Roman's rallycrosses. I want to say it was Ozetta. I don't know why this track reminds me of it, but it just does. And if you like rallycross, then maybe it's one of those things where you just prefer that track. So that's kind of how I feel. For some reason, this track reminds me of that track, for I don't know why. And I think I enjoy Ozetta more, even though this track is also pretty solid. But yeah, that's another little weird thing to it there. I don't know if anybody else feels that, but for some reason, I think the tracks are kind of similar for whatever reason. I'm not sure why. But I will say, though, this track aesthetically looks very, 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 very nice. It looks like a natural road course that you'd see in real life. So did a really good job with the looks on this one. It's pretty. It's nothing too crazy, but it just looks like an actual racetrack, which is good. That's a good compliment, I think. And the racing, even though the sections don't look too crazy, you can definitely still make up time in them, as we show in this 1v1. Like, there's definitely time to be made, which is good, because I think GPs and ovals are the hardest track type to make competitive, in that sense, especially like towards the later end of racing in Halo 5, where we're all getting used to everything. But I think he did a pretty good job of still making a simple, like, looking and feeling track here, while still having it be competitive. I could definitely get some Alpine Run vibes from this as well, in the aesthetic style, and also, again, the simpler sections, but still having a skill gap to them. So definitely some vibes with that track as well. But yeah, Mount Panorama. This 1v1 was crazy, and the track maybe needed to get raced more. but still a solid track to include in the overall list when we're deciding on all the tracks. I'm watching this at the end here because I want to know if this is the end. Is this the last lap? I wanna watch this to the end because I haven't seen this in a while. It's pretty crazy. And also like these videos are like mini HRL history episodes kind of. So if you haven't seen this 1v1, you got a bit of a glimpse at it. Yeah, it was. So yeah, you got a bit of a glimpse at it. It was pretty intense. Especially at the time. Pretty good racing there. All right, so let's take a look at the next one. Wow, this next one's pretty cracked. We're gonna take a look at Hollywood. So, number 34, Hollywood Speedway. We had 3 people vote very similarly. Wow, we had 3 people vote very similarly for this one. 3 people total, and their votes were very similar. 10 points, 10 points, and 9 points. So almost 3 people including this track in their list, 3 track judges including this track in their list, and almost giving it the exact same score for all 3 of them. Pretty weird. Like that's a crazy coincidence that ended up working out that way. But it goes to show though that for those 3 track judges that this track was a solid one to consider including it in their list that high. You know, not top 10 level, but still pretty high on the list. Interesting again that it worked out so similarly, but yeah, Hollywood Speedway. I'm almost kind of surprised. I'm almost kind of surprised that this one didn't make it higher than some of the other ovals. I'm not too surprised that it didn't make the final list, but there are definitely some other tracks that finished in front of it that I'm surprised that this one didn't. We'll get to the final list videos will come out. They'll come out, but I'm sure some of you will get what I mean. I'm kind of surprised that this track ended up behind a couple of the tracks that ended up making the final list because this one's pretty historic. We had the Season 5 Grand Finals on here. We actually had a lot of races on here, I want to say. Let's take a look at that real quick. Wait, what? Oh, okay, I was reading that. I was about to say. So yeah, we had 3 races on here. Season 5, 6, and 8, the first oval season. We raced Hollywood Speedway in all of those, and thought this track was good enough to put it as a grand final track for Season 5. And this track's actually pretty historic for like Slaunch's legacy in particular, because this track was very instrumental in him winning his, or I don't know why I keep calling it Championship Series. I feel like I was saying that. Grand Final, winning his first Grand Final. Because there was the Season 4, there was the Season 3 Grand Final where I had a pretty good run and was kind of ran away with that one. The Season 1 Grand Final, which was cheese. The Season 4 Grand Final, which he had a good run going into the final race, but then the final race was Guerco, and Guerco was just not his track. This track was really big for him winning his Grand Final though, because he got his regular season in Season 4. But it'd been a while. He couldn't get that Grand Final under his belt. But he was pretty solid at this track. And every time we raced it, it continued. Like, he was pretty solid, usually pretty fast at this track. And I think the reason why is because this track, to me, feels a bit more like a Halo Reach or Halo 4 style oval. And if you've raced ovals in all the games, you'd know what I mean. Like, there's definitely... It feels weird to say that there'd be like a distinct difference in the styles between the games for the ovals. Like it's you know, you'd probably think like, oh, it's just an oval, like you just make it like an oval, but they're definitely different. Like there's definitely different styles of ovals and like turns that work better for ovals in Reach and Halo 4 than Halo 5. And this track is a rare occurrence where I feel like, again, this track has more of that Halo 4 or Reach style of oval, of turns, but for whatever reason it actually worked pretty well in this game, which is a rarity for Halo 5. But yeah, Slunch did really well at this track, winning. I know he won the first moto. He might have even won the overall. I don't remember off the top of my head, but regardless, if he, I want to say he did. But if he didn't, it was still a good enough finish in the Moto 2 to just like have solid points, and it was important because you know, GP was the weakness. But he was going to finish well in Supercross, so it was the X factor for him in these grand finals was the oval tracks, right? If he could get because he wasn't really expecting to get a good finish on the GPs, it's like if he could get a really good finish on the oval, maybe that would just make him run away with it and just be fine. And that's kind of what ended up happening. He had a really good run here, and then followed it up with the unsurprising good run at the Supercross, and then did decent at the GP, but decent was good enough because these first two races were good enough. So ended up being pretty important for him in that particular grand finals run. Now, what also happened, just for this particular track, is this Moto 2 had a pretty crazy ending. So Moto 2 was not he won the first Moto. Moto 2 Detail ends up winning here, and you see 3 laps to go. We'll watch the end here. This is a pretty crazy finish. Like, oh, YouTube. Oh, YouTube. Oh, no. That is super sad. There we go. But yeah, this is probably one of the closest oval finishes that we had in Halo 5, and it was pretty sick. I gotta admit, this is probably the best one. This is probably the best one as far as like photo finishes for the win goes. But yeah, so you see here Fireball on the inside, coming around for the final time, but Detail gets a run on the outside, and Slaunch trying to peek in, maybe do something crazy. I believe that's him in third, but Detail ends up getting that run, and just enough to take the win on the outside. Yeah, that was nuts. Like, I can't believe that run ended up being just, like, it was literally, like, that much to take the win. And you also had Slaunch, like, sneaking in third there, too. So, if this went another lap or two, he could have ended up going for the back-to-back. Like, things could have gotten pretty weird up here in the front. So, but yeah, it was a very memorable race from that Season 5 Grand Final, and very important to who ended up winning it. So we go to the next one is going to be, oh boy, London. We got London here. For number, I believe it was 33. Yep, number 33, London. We had 3 people. Seems to be a common theme here. 3 people vote for this one. Put it in 33rd. It had 30 points total. One person gave it 11 points. One person gave it 3. And somebody actually rated it very, very high in their list, putting it in, I believe, the top 10 with 16 points. So that's pretty good. That's really high. So somebody really thought, one of the track judges really thought highly of this one. But yeah, puts it at a 30-point total for 33rd in the final list. So London, how many times did we race London? Was it just the once? No, I believe it was in an elimination tournament as well, right? Yeah, so we raced it twice. We keep... For some reason, this seems to be a common theme. Elimination Tournament 2 tracks seem to be a common theme. Not just in this video, but just in general with this list. I don't know why, but this seems to be a common theme. Again, especially for this video, but I feel like for other tracks on the list as well. For some reason, it's just a lot of them were raced in the second Elimination Tournament. Was there like a theme for that Elimination Tournament? Was it like fan favorite tracks or something? Like, what is the coincidence here? Why are these all lining up? I don't know. But yeah, Season 4, which we're watching now, and Elimination Tournament 2, that's when London was raced. And Season 4, going back through the history books a little bit, Season 4 I would look at as like maybe not the height of competition, but like it started, okay? You know, if you're an OG basketball fan, I feel like Season 4 would be like the early 90s, right? You know, it's not, we're not getting to the peak Bulls dynasty here quite yet, but like we're starting off, we're getting to that point. That's kind of the way I look at Season 4 HRL, is that, you know, it's too early to hit that peak competition, but we were working towards it, is what we were getting at here in Season 4. But interestingly enough, I feel like London doesn't represent that very well, which is maybe why it stands out from this season, because it's not the most competitive track. It's mostly just a cheesy arena cross, a cheesy arena cross where, you know, it's like the Eagle River of arena crosses, pretty much. Really, well, obviously all arena crosses are small, but really small, like battle track with lots of cheese to be expected, as we're seeing right here, and a lot of emphasis on the start as well. So again, I think part of what it could possibly be is that it's just that's like what makes it stand out, is that, you know, leaning more into that competition, getting a lot more competitive tracks in the season, maybe just a cheesy, fun arena cross in the middle of it makes this track stand out more in this season. Maybe that's part of what it is. I don't know. I think a lot of people also just had fun on this one, because I think a lot of people did a good job of like not taking this race too seriously, and like understanding that this was just, London was just going to be cheesy, and that's just how it was going to be. And I think a lot of drivers had a pretty good time on this one for that reason. But yeah, London was an arena cross that I made based off of I think a real life literally called London Arena Cross. I just was bored one day and was like, yeah, let's look up some arena cross races. Found that track, and I was like, oh, this track's kind of nice. It was kind of nice, and I saw a pretty good race on it, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna forge this. So I forged it, made it for season 4, and here we are racing it. And yeah, again, even though it only being raced twice, I think this track had potential to be one of those classic tracks for how cheesy it was and how simple of a layout it was. Maybe didn't quite catch on, but it definitely had potential to. And I'm sure, absolutely sure, again, this will be on my remake list for Infinite. I mean, we had 3 people vote for it. It still made it pretty high on the list, despite not making the top 25. I'm sure a lot of people would want to race this again. And again, similar to what I was thinking with Brisbane, just, man, having a 28-player lobby, having a 28-player lobby on London would have to be one of the craziest things that I've ever seen in Halo racing. Yeah, Infinite, can we roll that along here? Can we get to that? But yeah, that's got to be crazy. So definitely looking forward to potentially that in the future. So yeah, London AX, pretty solid one. All right, so let's go to number 32. Wait, what the hell? Why did I pull up oh my god, I definitely pulled up the I definitely pulled up the wrong track for one of these. It's not this one, so we can still talk about this one, but it's the one after this. I gotta fix this in the background while we're talking about this track. I can't believe I pulled up the wrong one. That's actually hilarious. I got two Roman tracks confused. That's all I'll say. But yeah, so here we're taking a look at Phangoria RX. 3, again, this is the theme. 3 people voted for this one. 1 person put it pretty highly, 15 points. 9 points for another, and 6 for the third track judge as well. So putting it at a total of 30, putting it at 32nd in the list. Only time we raced this was this race that we're watching right now, I believe, this elimination tournament. I believe this is the only time. Yeah, again, elimination tournament 2, I'm telling you. Elimination tournament 2. There's some weird connection there. I don't know what it is. There's so many Elim Tourney 2 races that made the list. I don't know what it is. But yeah, Phangoria RX. I really wish we got to do a regular season race on this one, because the fact that this track almost made the top 25 list, even though it literally only got raced in a short elimination tournament race, I mean, that's got to speak volumes, right? Like, that's pretty impressive. That's crazy that it could make that just off of that. I really wish that we got to do a full race on this one. It's very unique. I mean, obviously, aesthetically, you can see here with going underwater. That, of course, makes it very unique. It also has a unique flow as far as the rallycrosses go. I can't think of an easy rallycross comparison to this one as far as the way that it flows. So that makes it unique as well. I like the colors. I like the coral. Again, the little details with the underwater aesthetic's cute. The sand sections are really fun in this one. The split is great. I like the super downhill neg camber. That one feels pretty good to me. Neg cambers were getting kind of boring, but I particularly like the way that one feels. Especially with the fact that neg cambers to me were getting kind of boring on tracks. I think this one, and that neg camber as well. I think this track did its neg cambers pretty well for them getting kind of old at the time. So that's kind of a positive too, that it took a section that was maybe getting overused, but still made it work pretty well into the track, so that I didn't really mind it as much. So that's good too. What the hell? Wow. Dude. I'm trying to find my HRL channel, and I keep finding Halo Reach stuff, man. Come on. But yeah, Phangoria RX. Love the whoops too. So yeah, this one, like we were talking about with tracks like Brisbane, man, just wish we could have raced this one in an actual season. You know, this is one of those that it's like the one that got away. it's like the one that got away, right? Like this track definitely deserved to be raced again, for sure. And unfortunately, just did not get to that point, did not make it into any of the seasons, which is sad. I'm sure this one will probably be remade in Infinite, I'm sure, to try to, you know, potentially get it that race that it deserved, because it's actually a pretty solid track. It's actually a pretty solid track. But yeah, that's about all I have to say for Beckham Beach, or fucking... I was looking it up in the background. Freudian slip, lol. Well, I just spoiled the next track, but for Phangoria RX. The next one's going to be Beckham Beach GP, which I had to search for in the background because I fucking... I picked a different Roman GP, and I genuinely did not notice it until right now. I genuinely didn't notice it until I was already recording the video. That's crazy. I picked the wrong one. Oops. But I got the right one now. But yeah, Phangoria RX, solid track, and hopefully we'll see a remake in the future so that we can get it the race that it deserves. So moving on now to try to improvise that the best I could. Now moving on to number 30, should be 31, right? Yep. Beckham Beach GP. We actually raced this one a lot. It's kind of surprising that this didn't make the top 25 for how much that we raced this track. 4 times. That's pretty sure that's the most of any track in this video that I've mentioned yet, so it's pretty impressive. But yeah, Beckham Beach GP, we raced it in season 7, 9, 10, and the 5th elimination tournament. So that was recent. But yeah, so 4 races on Beckham Beach GP. Can we get to the damn start here? And as with most Roman tracks, I gotta say, aesthetics as always looking solid. This track is very pretty. Love the beach style. Like, that's pretty unique. I don't know if we have many other beach tracks. I know there's a Long Beach, but Long Beach didn't really lean into the whole beach part of it aesthetically. At least not that I remember. Wow, nice crash. What the hell? So there's that, but yeah, I think Beckham Beach aesthetically might be the only track that really leans into that aesthetically. So that's pretty cool. That's already something that makes it unique. As far as it goes, as a GP, the main attraction here is this downhill, this tricky downhill that can lead to some absolutely nutty crashes like we just saw with, I want to say it was Real Deal there? Or was he green in this one? I don't know. Whoever that was. Love the crashes in the downhill, and that's got to be the main attraction of the track. Very difficult. Yeah, but I love this way. I love the way this track looks. Like the bridge here, the way this track looks is pretty neat. As far as the racing goes, pretty solid actually. Kind of similar to Mount Panorama in this, and again, like tracks like Alpine Run and stuff like that, to where it doesn't, look as technical, look as complex, but it still has sections where you can gain time better than, some other GPs. Like a Roman one I can think of would be like, just as an example, would be North Bloom. Like I think this track definitely has a lot more opportunities to gain time on it than a track like North Bloom. While not being like overbearing. Like this track doesn't, you hop on Beckham Beach, you're not thinking like, whoa, like I gotta think about this track, like I gotta prepare for this one. Like this is a super technical. No, you're not really thinking that. That being said, I do think it is more technical than a track like North Bloom, and gives you more opportunity to improve and gain time and stuff like that. So that's always nice to have that on top of it looking very nice as well. I'm also a fan of the straightaways. To end off the track and where the finish line is. I don't know what it is. They're pretty simple, but they feel pretty satisfying to hit for whatever reason. I actually really like those straights. Again, like I already said, this downhill, the bridge is cool, and I like the beginning of the track too. I like the first sector of this track as like a racer is probably my favorite part. I really enjoy racing through the whole first sector of this track, like that finish line straight into that first corner. Feels great. I love fast corners like that on GPs where you can like just stay full throttle. I love corners like that. And then the back and forth turns in the first sector. Really enjoy it. As a racer, that'd probably be my favorite part. And apparently we had pits. For this season, so that's a thing. But yeah, Beckham Beach GP. Solid track for sure. Did I... Oh, I didn't go over this. Okay, sorry, my bad. So 35 points. I got 35 points. 3, again, that seems to be the theme. 3 people voted for it. 1 person giving it a measly 3 points. Another giving it a pretty decent 13, and then another person rating it very highly, very, very highly, with 19. So that's a pretty high placing, and that's part of why it made it to 31. But just a bit short of the top 25. Like, just... You'll hear when I go through the point totals, like just a bit short. It's so competitive with these bottom tracks in the list. It's so competitive. Maybe once I'm done with the whole list, I'll have to go through and reveal the point totals so you guys can get an idea of how this list was made, because it's pretty incredible. Like the point differential from like first place to 25th is pretty incredible. So yeah, there's Beckham Beach. Alright, so we're closing it out here with Beckham Beach GP. I thought that I totally messed up the count. I thought I was going to do an extra track. I almost by accident threw in an extra track, which I don't think anybody would have minded, but decided I caught myself right before I recorded it. That would have been kind of funny if I accidentally just put in an extra one. Like, hey, we're going to do another 10 tracks. I just throw in 11 for the lulz. That would have been kind of funny. But Beckham Beach, supposed to be the last one. Supposed to be the last one. A good bookmark here. At number 31. So in the next behind the scenes video, which might be a while from now, we'll go over number 30, 29, 28, 27, and 26. So just 5 for that one. But that one will be a while from now, I hope. I don't intend on making that one until I'm already probably like halfway through the top 10. Like maybe when I reach the top 5, I'll do the next behind the scenes as a little break. And that's going to be a while from now. Even if I'm doing consistent work on these videos, they're going to take some time. Especially the later ones are going to take some time. Like, the Alpine Run one was such a project, and the further down the list we go, the more tracks we're going to have where I'm going to be making videos like the Alpine Run video. That's just going to continue. Shout out to Armada. That's just going to continue, right? So not every... What the hell was that flip? Not every video for the top 25, right? Not every track is going to warrant the longest video, but some of them will. Some of them are going to have... there's going to be more Alpine Run level videos, and again, especially for the top 10, probably every track in the top 10 will have an Alpine Run level video, and I'm sure even some of the tracks before that will have, maybe a couple of the tracks before that will have one as well. So yeah, it's hard for me to say how, it's hard for me to give like a timeline for when it'll finish. If I had to guess, I would say February or March. That's what I would say. I highly, highly, highly doubt I finished the track countdown in January, because it's just a lot. I highly doubt it. February or March is probably when we'll see the conclusion, but again, they'll come out over time. I don't intend on taking like a big break. They'll come out over time, and we'll see little by little the videos come out, and we'll go through the list. But yeah, probably February or March, early March, if I want to see the quality of videos that I want to do. Unless I just go crazy one day and just slam fucking 10 cups of coffee and and just go crazy one day and literally spend all my free time on it and just destroy like 8 videos or something like that. Then maybe we'll see it in January, late January or early February. Who knows? You never know. That might happen. So realistically, probably somewhere mid-February, early March. That's probably what I'd expect. So that being said, it'll be a while before we see another one. Before you guys see another one of these behind-the-scenes videos. It'll be a while before then. But until then, you have this behind-the-scenes video, and we're going to be going through the rest of the list too. We already got 3 posted so far. We did Blaviken number 25, 24 Dusty Ridge, 23 Alpine Run, which was an absolute banger. Alpine Run was a pretty good video. That was one of the better race-related like HRL history-esque videos I've done, I think. I'm really proud of that one. So yeah, 3 solid videos so far. more to come, and they will come out over the course of the next couple months. So keep an eye out for them. Hope everybody enjoyed this next behind the scenes, and we'll see you for the following one in maybe a freaking month and a half or so. It might be a while. So yeah, see you there. Later. Oh, should I just do the Nate Shot intro for the lulz for anybody that stuck around this long? All right, I'm just gonna do the Nate Shot outro for the lulz. So if you stuck out, if you actually tuned in for this video all the way to the end, then you get the YouTube. We'll see you fudging later.